MasterCard just out with new spending pulse data. It says retail sales for the holiday season rose 3.8% from last year. Joining us to talk about some of the retail winners and losers, Michael Zakkour, the founder of 5 New Digital. Michael, great to have you with us here on set. Top selling brands, let's get straight to it.
Lego was a big winner. Nike was a big winner. Burberry did very well. And I think you really saw what was encouraging. It was a cross-section of apparel, toys, and electronics that did very well. I guess gift cards were also the big winner. It's been a trend for a few years now. And so we've seen some of these brands and the retailers that sell them, like Walmart and Amazon, all had banner years.
How does this compare to, let's say, last season? I mean, have the winners changed?
I think they've been pretty consistent. You know, Amazon and Walmart were the dominant winners. Target had a better season than a lot of people expected. You know, I think Target fell behind a little bit in the online-offline integration race to Walmart over the last few years. And I think Target's going to have a real big comeback year. The department stores, you know, Macy's didn't have a good season. And I think what we really learned this season is there are just simply some models and formats that don't work anymore and that people are spending, but they're really particular about where they want to spend.
Right. The MasterCard survey that was just released, you know, let's say 20 minutes ago or so, said online was the #1 choice. So is that, even when there is a bricks and mortar option, do consumers still choose the online mode?
The answer is yes and no. Roughly 25% of all holiday sales happened online. But it's been a huge increase year to year. So Black Friday was up 10% online year over year. Cyber Monday was up 13.1% year on year. Right. And so online has grown its share of the pie.
We always ask the same question, so I apologize if it's just a boring question, which is how much of those days do you think ultimately are a pull-forward day or actually incremental?
I think they're more incremental. And, you know, we do a lot of study on ROAS. You know, some people are just looking at their return on ad spend on these platforms, and they're saying we're getting a 3-to-1 or a 4-to-1. But when you apply, you know, some data analytics to incremental, you can break up how much would have been sold without those campaigns on those platforms versus how much actually was. But the other big trend we saw is mobile is dominating now. So about 40% of all sales in e-commerce happen on mobile. We're predicting 70% of all e-commerce sales are going to be mobile next year. Right. So if you're a brand or a retailer and you're not thinking about how to optimize for mobile, you're going to have a hard time getting through to consumers next year.
Are you focused at all on returns?
Yeah, returns is a big issue. Returns is really hurting the retail industry.
Super expensive.
Super expensive. And this is a shocking number. This year, returns equaled $930 billion in lost revenue to retailers.
What percentage of sales are returned online?
Well, the blended return rate online offline is 17%. Online, it tends to be closer to 30 to 40%.
Wow!
And a lot of that comes from what we call bracketing,
and
you know, ordering, you know, lots of different styles and colors. But it's a big problem. So when you think about retailers, you know, having a tough time with margin, that combination of, you know, organized retail theft and returns, it's hard to deal with.
We've heard that shrink has come down at some of the major players that have blamed shrink in the past, like a Target, for instance. But in terms of the returns, are we coming closer to a day when free returns are going to be more limited?
Yeah, I think that's happening. The issue that brands and retailers keep running up against, though, is every time they take away free returns, they lose 35% or 40% of their customers who go to somebody who does offer it, right? And so I think there's another solution, and this is really key for all brands and retailers. There are channels and technologies and formats to sell through now that are demonstrably proven to lower return rates. So, for instance, live streaming commerce, right, has 25% conversion as opposed to 2% on a website, and has a 5 to 10% return rate as opposed to 30 to 40%. So shoppable video. The more immersive and experiential your physical store and your digital store is, immediately you see the uptick in traffic, conversions, average order volumes, long-term customer value, and a lowering of returns.